Hello, I'm Mathieu from Ludovox, and today I'm going to give you an overview of a prototype. So this is Bellum. So it's a prototype, no component is final. The hard tokens are definitely not, but the rules are. So in Bellum, we have a deck building game for 2 players. It plays for players around 12 and up, and it plays for around 20 minutes. So in Bellum, you're going to be a Greek city who's trying to defeat an opposing Greek city. And it's a deck building game, so you're going to have a personal deck of cards, and you're going to deepen your strategy by buying new cards and adding them to your personal deck. So you win the game by pillaging the 4th district of your opponent, starting with the first one and then moving up and up in his city. If you destroy and pillage his 4th district, you win the game. So Bellum is a game about attacking the opponent, that's for sure, but it's also a game about managing your army and your deck. Every creature is going to have special powers, and we have 4 types of creatures with different kinds of abilities. Soldiers grow together, they are very small individually, but they benefit from each other. Myth creatures trigger bizarre and powerful effects when they die. The Oracle cards will benefit from the presence of other Oracle cards in your play area. And finally, demons need sacrifices. So you will need to sacrifice creatures in order to keep your demons in play. So it revolves around death and life. You are going to be able to buy cards from 4 Olympus stacks, which are pre-made, then shuffled. So we have 4 different stacks, but these are legend stacks, so you can access them when a stack has been depleted. So if this Oracle Olympus stack has been emptied, you can buy Medusa or Cerberus, so very powerful and mythical cards. So how to buy cards then? So to buy cards, you will play and discard cards from your hand. So instead of playing the cards, so for example, I could play this Chimera here, but instead of playing this Chimera into my army, I could probably buy Nessus the Centaur. So Nessus has a price, and the price is indicated on the bottom of the card. Sometimes the price is an empty circle. If it's an empty circle, I can discard any card from my hand to acquire the card. If it has a color and a symbol, I have to match it. So it is a faction symbol. So to acquire Nessus, I need to discard a myth creature. So I can discard a myth creature, buy Nessus, and create my strategy like this. So in this game, you're going to be able also to play spells. You don't have only creatures. So spells have different effects. So for example, the Wrath of Zeus can deal damage to attacking creatures, or the Fall of Omphalos can deal damage to creatures anytime. So you have different abilities to defend yourself, and sometimes you're going to play cards at very uncertain times. For example, the Wrath of Zeus can deal damage to creatures, that's for sure, but only in a short window when they attack. So the game has 4 game phases. The first phase is a rally phase. In the rally phase, you trigger all rally effects, like sacrificing things for demons, and you can play spells. Then you can decide to attack your opponent or not. And then, if you have decided to attack your opponent, you perform your assault. Then you move on to the deployment phase. That's the phase in which you buy cards or you play cards from your hand. So playing a card is free, it doesn't have any cost. And then finally, the last phase of a turn is the draw phase. You can draw up to 3 cards from your deck. If your deck is empty, you shuffle your discard pile and make a new deck out of it. And then after drawing up to 3 cards, you discard down to 5 cards. So you have a hand size of 5 cards. This is basically the flow of the game. Then you move on to the next player. Let's focus on damage and creatures and assaults. So when you trigger the assault phase, the second phase of the turn, you are going to choose creatures to assault the opposing city. So let's focus on the creatures themselves. They have text, which is basically their abilities, and they have a base power. This power is how much damage they will deal, but it is also their life. So if Yama here, with 2 power, gets 1 damage, it will have 1 life and 1 damage for the next round, so it gets weakened by wounds. So you may choose any number of creatures to attack the opposing city. So for example, let's imagine I choose 2 of them. The opposing player will now be able to block. So the opposing player can block things. One creature can block only one attacker. And if at least one creature is not blocked, for example, if I had attacked with a sellsword, it would go there and damage and pillage the city. But first, let's talk about this. So the creatures will deal damage simultaneously. So for example, here we have the Disciple of the Shadows, who deals 1 damage to Bellum. The Disciple of Shadows die. And it is the contrary here. The Assassin deals 1 damage to Yama, and Yama deals 2 damage to the Assassin. So we have a stalemate. The creatures have attacked. We can move on. If I had attacked with the 3 creatures with my sellsword, so my sellsword would not be blocked. It would go over and we would trigger the lowest district of Sparta. We trigger its card text, which tells us to perform an ability, then to flip it. This is what goes on in an assault. You can only flip 1 district per assault. Even if 4 or 5 creatures are unblocked, this doesn't change a thing. That's basically how assaults work. In Bellum, you also have special abilities and cards which are going to use the stock. So for example, Sparta will use Spartans, will be able to play Spartans, which are soldiers that come into play and be stronger the more Sparta is destroyed. Medusa will petrify other creatures, that is going to remove them from play. The Minotaur will put Labyrinth card on top of people's decks, which are going to be useless cards. So this is very unique. Every card is almost unique. Some cards are flip cards. So for example, Charybdis can turn into Scylla, and Scylla can turn into Charybdis when it dies. Also, Cerberus could be flipped, it could become Styx, and then it could come back and haunt the other players. So a lot of cards like this Rite of Passage are cards that are going to impact the game with novel and different effects. So this game is about timing, deployment, and buying your cards right, but it's about also about making an efficient strategy, and you're going to try to apply that strategy the best you can. And doing so, you will be hopefully able to outwit and overwhelm your opponent and flip his 4th district, and that will net you the win. So now you know almost everything about Bellum, so go ahead and play.